Mariuscow is one of the best fighters and he drops 20 bombs in almost every solo victory cup. I'm going to analyze his fights, why he's so good, and you can learn new things from this video. In this game, he lands on Dog Pound. He gets a gun from the roof and kills the first enemy who comes with a worse land. And then he notices another enemy who came with a bad land and gets a free kill. Then he instantly kills the boss to get the mythical drum gun quickly. Next enemy was waiting for Mariuscow behind the wall and got a free beam. Then Mariuscow tried to get a counter shot from a good right-hand peek but missed the shot. Mariuscow goes to high ground and gets a good shot. Then he notices that the enemy is shooting with a drum gun, so he can 50-50 peek with the shotgun because he knows that the drum gun won't kill him with one shot. Mariuscow goes towards the enemy with a grappler, but the enemy does good damage to him, and Mariuscow still hits 50 damage with a pump, and get all the pieces from above the enemy. And the enemy doesn't notice it, and Mariuscow gets a free shot. Then he puts pressure on the enemy by shooting the walls, but really carefully because he is low, and the slurp effect heals him at the same time. He knows he has almost 100 heal advantage, so he just tries to get into the enemy box to finish the fight quickly. Here he sees that the enemy is being cracked and immediately tries to head into the enemy's box with the drum gun. He keeps up the pressure and tries to hit the enemy through the walls. Enemy tries to countershot, but Mariuscow manages to build a ramp in front because the enemy didn't take piece control from the box. And then Mariuscow takes a 50-50 shot because he knows he has a really big heal advantage. He notices that the enemy is trying to snipe, so he overbuilds right in front of him because he doesn't want the enemy to get lucky and snipe a headshot. Then he grapples towards the enemy and hits the enemy for 50 damage. The enemy makes the mistake of building with wood, which is weaker than brick, for example. And because of that, Mariuscow can easily shoot walls and get the enemy low easily, jump into the box and get a free kill. In the next fight, the enemy panics and starts shooting with a minigun. Mariuscow plays the situation well by taking a shotgun shot and waiting for the wall to break and taking another shotgun shot. And then the enemy is at 1 HP and finishes the fight by shooting with a drum gun. Here Mariuscow makes a good jump shot that the enemy can do almost nothing about. And then he has a good right-hand peek and finishes the fight quickly. In this fight, the enemy has just finished the fight, and Mariuscow can predict that the enemy would be low HP and take a 50-50 peek, which may not be the smartest play, but still wins the fight. Here the enemy again makes a box out of wood where Mariuscow can really easily shoot the enemy through the walls and gets a completely free kill. The enemy should have built boxes out of brick and build more than one box at once. In this fight, the enemy makes a wooden box and just holds the wall when Mariuscow tries to take it. Instead, the enemy should do more boxes for him. But when Mariuscow gets the wall and takes a right-hand peek and shoots max damage, Mariuscow misses a shotgun shot and the enemy hits for 30 damage. Then the enemy goes back to the box where he has no control, and Mariuscow does a really good right-hand peek jump shot that the opponent can't do anything about. In this situation, Mariuscow goes a little too greedily to the wall, and the enemy hits 100 damage. Then he does this really good right-hand peek shot when the enemy is on the ramp, and does this 4-tile edit, and the enemy doesn't even have time to see. In this fight, the enemy makes the same mistake that almost everyone makes, which is to build only one wooden box. Mariuscow gets absolutely free shots. The enemy should have built more boxes and used bricks instead. Mariuscow goes on a zipline and the enemy comes towards him and he gets the enemy really low. And again, the enemy builds a wooden box which is really weak, and Mariuscow gets a completely free kill. Then he spots the enemy in the boxes and cracks him by shooting with the drum gun. Then the enemy starts to panic and doesn't take all the pieces, and Mariuscow piece controls the enemy and 50-50 peeks because he knows he has a heal advantage. He notices a wooden box, grapples to it and sprays himself inside, and gets a free kill when the enemy is in a panic. In this fight, Mariuscow starts build fighting against the enemy, and gets double edits from above the enemy and gets a good shot. Then he knows he has a good heal advantage and just jumps into the box and finishes the fight quickly. Then he sees a random enemy and grapples towards him and shoots max damage. Here Mariuscow gets a completely free shot, and then just starts spraying the enemy. And then gets the enemy piece controlled and does a 50-50 peek because he knows he has a heal advantage and the enemy can't one pump. Here Mariuscow grappling towards the enemy, then he tries to make this fake edit so that the enemy would try to shoot and break the wall accidentally, but the wall had too much HP. When the enemy shoots with a shotgun and has shotgun delay, Mariuscow takes advantage of it and then shoots with a shotgun and finishes the fight with a drum gun. Here Mariuscow does a good grappler slide tactic and hits the enemy hard. And when the storm came, Mariuscow shoots the enemy at the storm and gets a free kill. Then he grapples to random loot and spots the enemy and gets a completely free kill. He notices an enemy who has no awareness around him and does a grappler cancel tactic by immediately taking out his shotgun and hitting the enemy. Then he got the wall before the enemy and gets a free kill. Here he hits 100 damage on the enemy and tries to jump into the box and gets a kill. The enemy tries to escape and Mariuscow gets a free kill. Here he drops the enemy and gets a free kill. Mariuscow heard and saw that the enemy was cracked. He tries to shoot the enemy through the wall, and here Mariuscow really well builds a cone on the enemy and gets the kill. Then he gets a free kill again by spraying an enemy that is healing in the box. Here the enemy accidentally shoots at the wall and breaks it because he tried to pre-fire Mariuscow, and Mariuscow gets a pump shot and full piece and gets the kill. Mariuscow almost full pieces the enemy but misses the shot. Then the enemy goes Storm and Mariuscow wins the game with 31 kills. This next game is a solo victory cup final. He lands on Ice Isle and with a better land wins the fight. In this fight, Mariuscow hits the enemy well by spraying. Then he grapples and immediately takes the shotgun and hits a shot. The enemy only does one box, and it's really easy for Mariuscow to control the fight. He gets the wall and hits the shot. Then he misses a little and goes back to reload. Here the enemy shoots Mariuscow, and Mariuscow knows that the enemy will get shotgun delay and takes advantage of the situation and edits and shoots with the shotgun. In this fight, Mariuscow is constantly trying to damage the enemy through walls with a high fire rate weapon. And when he succeeds in that, and knows he has a heal advantage, he jumps into the box and finishes the fight. In this fight, the enemy hit Mariuscow with a shotgun for 50 damage. Then Mariuscow hits the enemy with a shotgun for 150 damage. Then both box and heal. Enemy almost piece-controlled Mariuscow, but he manages to build a cone and save himself. Then Mariuscow gets a wall that the enemy doesn't notice and max pumps the enemy. Here the enemy boxes are connected by a single wooden wall. Mariuscow just drop it and get a free kill. The enemy accidentally goes into the box where Mariuscow has a roof. Then he takes the pieces, pumps 150 damage, and finishes the fight. In this fight, the enemy is constantly trying to jump on Mariuscow. Then when the enemy managed to jump on Mariuscow, he nicely piece-controlled the enemy and shot max damage. Mariuscow takes the enemy wall, and when the enemy goes to a new box, Mariuscow gets double edits from above him, and then does a really good right-hand peek. Here Mariuscow cracks the enemy, and sprays into the box full pieces and gets the kill. In this fight, Mariuscow gets all the pieces and 50-50 aim duels the enemy. Because he has a wall, he can reset it if he misses a shot, for example. Here Mariuscow manages to build a wall in front of the enemy, and because of that, the enemy goes into a slight panic. Then Mariuscow breaks the wall and builds a cone in the box, because he notices that the enemy didn't build his own, and gets an easy kill because of it. Here Mariuscow just piece controls the enemy who tried to run away. In the next fight, Mariuscow cracked the enemy. Then he chases the enemy and gives pressure. Here he notices that the enemy did not take the wall between his own boxes. Mariuscow takes the wall and pumps the enemy. Here Mariuscow gets a wall and a cone into the enemy box. Then he got a wall and max pumps the enemy. Here Mariuscow hits the enemy and runs straight into the box, and the enemy doesn't expect it and gets a free kill. Here he gets a free pump shot and just sprays the enemy to finish him off. In this fight, Mariuscow gets a wall and ends the fight with a right-hand peek. Mariuscow gets a pump shot on the enemy. Then he does this good ramp at it and jump shot the enemy. Here the enemy has not built a wall between the boxes. Mariuscow takes it and pumps the enemy. Then Mariuscow 50-50 aim duels the enemy, but makes this good movement by running behind the enemy. Then he died because he kept fighting in the end game and his materials ran out. But the most important things we learned from this are, when someone pushes you, don't build just one wooden box and stick to it, because it's really weak and easy to take control if the enemy only has one box like here. You need to build more boxes and from hard materials so that the walls have more HP and you have more options to peek, and it is harder for the enemy to push you. Another thing is to always take all the pieces from your box. Because for example here, Mariuscow can put a cone in the enemy box. And here Mariuscow gets a wall between the enemy boxes. So always take all the pieces. Thanks for watching, and if you liked the video, subscribe to my channel and like this video. Good luck in the upcoming tournaments.